Bonjour tout le monde. Hello everyone. Je m'appelle Arthur. My name is Arthur. And today we're going to be looking at pronunciation. That's going to be the first part of this series about pronunciation. And today we're going to look more specifically into the alphabet. Okay, so this video will be dedicated to the alphabet, and you will know your ABC in French by the end of this short lesson. So without further ado, let's get into l'alphabet. Okay, so starting with l'alphabet, right? So l'alphabet, the alphabet, right? L'alphabet en français. So if we want to say the alphabet, okay, it goes this way. We start with A, okay? So A would be A, okay? There we go. A. So A for A. Moving on to the next one, we have B. B, okay? So B for B. We would also say C, okay? C. C for C. And then we have D. D for D, okay? D. And lastly, we've got E, okay? E. So it goes again A, B, C, D, E, okay? For the first 5 words. Moving on now to F, okay? F, no big change compared to English, right? F, same letter. Moving on then to G. G, okay? G as in G, all right? G. Next, we've got H. H, all right? So H for H, okay? The way you pronounce it is the same as the ash in English, all right? Same thing. Next, we've got I. I, okay? So I in French, we pronounce I, okay? Make sure you don't get it mixed up with here, right? So this one was right? This one here, I is I. Moving on now to J. J. So J would be J, okay? J. So again, we've got F, G, H, I, J. All right, let's move on to the next row, starting with K. K. Okay, imagine a K plus an A, so that would be K. Then we've got L. L, no different from English. M. M, again, same, not really different from English. And then N, right? N, again, same as English, right? So that's a rather easy row here. So we have K, L, M, N. All right, simple, doesn't change, except for K. Now, for the next row, we've got O, 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 right, for O. P, 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 and then Q, 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 and then R, R, R for R, right? O, P, Q, R. Now for the next row, we've got S, 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 followed by T, 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 and then U, 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 and finally V, V. And then for the last row, we've got W, W, W. All right, W. So remember the previous one was V, right? And here we say W. So basically double V. Now we have X, X, X for X. The next one is a little difficult. Bear with me. Y, Y. All right, Y. And then finally, Z, Z, which you also find in British English, right? Z. So there we have all of our letters. So you have all the letters here and then the pronunciation on the right. So for all the letters that end with E in English, right? Like B, C, D, B, so that goes B, C, D, and then we had G also. G becomes G, right? P becomes P, T becomes T, V becomes V, W, that's a different one, W, right? W, and then J becomes J. So those letters are a bit of a change. Now, if you also have some letters that are the same, right? Like L, M, N, right? They're very, very similar, right? Z also, if you speak British English, that one would be familiar enough. And then we have a few ones that are pretty different, right? Like A, A for A, E for E. We also have J, which becomes G, I, which becomes E, K, which becomes K, which is basically K. Q became Q in French. R became R. So yeah, some of them are pretty similar and some are different. So I encourage you to play this video again, try to say the alphabet again. Now let's try to repeat all the letters at once, okay? So we got A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z. I also suggest you, for additional revision, try to find those baby songs that sing the alphabet in French, and that shall be pretty easy for you then to just remember the alphabet. So that's for all the letters. Now there are a few specific characters that you would see in French. So we're gonna review them very quickly. First, we have E, right? So when you have the E, the with the accent that kind of goes up, right? That's the E. Maybe you've seen that one in the word café, for instance, right? Café. So that's an accent aigu. We call that E for E, accent aigu. Accent is what's on top of the E, and then it's aigu, right? Because it's E. Okay, so the first one was E. Moving on to this one here, where So again, it's a with an accent, right? Un accent grave this time. We call it grave. Grave is the accent that goes down like this. And so that one sounds like eh, okay? Eh. So make sure not to mix up the two, right? The first one was eh, eh, and the second one is eh, eh. If you pay attention to my mouth movement, right? Uh, eh, eh. When you say eh, your mouth is supposed to open up a little more, all right? Eh, you kind of wince a bit more, right? Uh your mouth opens up horizontally, like barely, eh, but then eh, your mouth opens up a little more. So yeah, try not to mix up both. Moving on then to l'accent circonflexe. So l'accent circonflexe, that's that one here. That's the one that looks like a little hat, right? So you can find that accent on the on the a, on the o, right? It doesn't really change the sound of the letter, except for e sometimes, right? Like if it's on top of a e, it's gonna sound eh, just like the previous accent we saw, right? So that's l'accent circonflexe. You also have this one here, le tréma, okay? Le tréma, which we would find on ease a lot. And in that case, that would again make a eh sound. And sometimes you can find it on words that are of foreign origin, like German words, for instance, but it wouldn't necessarily change the sound of the letter, unlike in German, for instance. So yeah, don't pay attention to that one too much. Just be aware that it exists. And finally, a quite important one, that would be the cédille, okay, which you probably have seen in Sava, for instance, right? In the sea, under the sea in Sava, right? And in that case, so that basically transforms the C in order to have a S sound and not a K sound. Sometimes with the C you have a K sound, sometimes you have a S sound. So that's something we're going to look into in a future video in this series in pronunciation. But yeah, that's the gist of it, right? That's the S sound. Okay, everybody, that's going to be it for today. We've seen the alphabet and we've seen a few characters that you wouldn't find in English, for instance. So that's going to be it for today, everyone. I'll see you in the next video. Au revoir. All right, everyone. So again, let's repeat the alphabet together. Starting with A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z. And for the characters here, E, E, S, C, C, D. And that's it for today. Bonjour tout le monde. Hello everyone. Je m'appelle Arthur. My name is Arthur, and welcome to this series about the French numbers. So in this series, we will look at the numbers from 0 to 10,000, and we will also look at the time. Today, though, we're going to look at the very basics, namely the numbers from 1 to 20. All right, so let's jump into the numbers from 1 to 20 today. All right, starting with the numbers from 1 to 10 first. So I will encourage you to repeat after me if you can. If you cannot, you have in phonetic language, underneath the numbers, you have the pronunciation so that you can train later at home or whatever. So starting from un, okay? So un, that will be 1, okay? Un. Moving on to deux, deux, okay? So deux for 2. Then we've got trois, trois, trois for 3. Then we've got quatre, quatre, okay? So quatre is for 4. Make sure when you pronounce quatre to not pronounce it quatre, okay? It's not a qu sound, it's k. So not quatre, but quatre. Next is cinq, cinq. So 5 for 5. Let's repeat from 1 to 5 first, and then we'll move on to the next ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, excellent. Moving on now to the numbers from 6 to 10. So we've got 6, 6, 6. Okay, for 6. Next, we've got 7, 7, 7. Right? So 7 for 7. Moving on then to 8, 8, 8. Okay? So 8 for 8, 8. Next up is 9, 9, 9 for 9. And finally, we've got 10, 10, 10. All right, so 10 for 10. Let's recap the numbers that we just saw. We've got 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay? So now all the numbers from 1 to 10, repeat after me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay? Faster. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so as you can see also on the numbers, we have some letters in red. The letters in red you pronounce, okay? So the Q at the end of cinq, okay? The cinq. Make sure you pronounce the K sound. For six, six, you would pronounce the S at the end, right? Six. Then we have set, set, ending with T, right? The P, which is in blue, you don't pronounce, okay? But the T, you pronounce. And then we have the huit, right? In the huit, you don't pronounce the H, right? It's in blue. You don't pronounce the H, but you say the T in the end. And then for neuf, 10, make sure you pronounce the last consonant. All right, now, moving on to the numbers from 11 to 20, right? 11 to 20. So starting with 11. 11. Okay, so 11 for 11. All right, 11. Then we've got 12. 12 for 12. Okay, 12. Next up is 13. 13. Okay, so 13 for 13. Then we've got 14. 14. All right, so 14 for 14. Again, make sure you don't pronounce the QU like a qu, right? It's 14, okay? Not quatorze. 14. Same thing with the next one. We've got 15. 15. Okay? 15. Don't pronounce it quinze, but 15. Okay? 15. All right, next we've got 16. 16. 16. Okay? 16. Now, remember, 10 is 10, right? And 7 is set. So the way we say 17 is basically 10, 7. 17. 17. Okay? 17. Again, you pronounce the T, but not the P. Next, we've got 18. 18. 18. Same as before, all right? You would say 10, 8, right? Don't pronounce the H and pronounce the T in 8. Next up is 19. 19. 19 for 19, okay? 19. And finally, we've got 20. 20. 20. So 20 for 20. In 20, we don't pronounce the G and the T in the end, okay? We just say 20. It's like, remember number 1, but you have a V sound at the beginning, right? 20, okay? Right, everyone, so that's all the numbers for today, from 1 to 20. Remember that if you want to read those aloud, I suggest that you you pay attention to the blue and the red, right? The blue are the letters you don't pronounce, you don't say them, and then the red ones you pronounce, okay? But let's just repeat one more time the numbers from 11 to 20, okay? Let's go. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Okay? A little faster now. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. All right. Okay, everyone, that's going to be it for today. In the next video, we will see some bigger numbers, namely the ones that go from 20 to 99. That's it for today, everybody. I will see you in the next video. À la prochaine. Au revoir. Bonjour tout le monde. Hello, everyone. And welcome to this new video regarding the numbers. So last video we saw the numbers from 1 to 20, and today we're going to be looking at the numbers from 21 to 99. So if you don't really know your numbers, and if you haven't seen the previous video regarding the numbers from 1 to 20, I obviously highly encourage you to watch that video first. Otherwise, you may be a little lost today. So let's jump right into the numbers from 21 to 69 first. Okay, so again, here we have the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, right? From 1 to 9, right? On the right, just to make sure. And we have the dozens on the left, right? So for 20, remember 20, we saw it last video. 20 is 20, right? 20. Next, let's get to 30. So 30 will be 30. 30. All right. Then we have 40. 40. Again, remember, like I said last video, make sure you don't pronounce the 40 like quarante, right? With the QU. It's just 40, okay? 40. Moving on now to 50. 50. All right, so 50 is 50, okay? 50. And finally, we've got 60. 60, okay, for 60. So again, we've got 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. All right? Now, if we want to say, so getting back to 20, right? Just for the sake of the example, right? If you want to say 21, you're going to say 21, okay? 21, right? So for 21, you have to add the A. Remember, A is and, right? So technically, when you say 21, you say 20 and 1, right? Same for 31, 31, 41, 41, 51, 51, 61, 61. You get the idea, right? Now, if I want to say 22, that's going to be 22. And then it goes 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, right? So we basically just take the number on the left, and then we add the number to the right. 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, right? Same for 30. 45, 46, 47, 48, 49. Same thing with 40. 51, 52, 53, 64, 65, 66, 67, right? So that's how it works, okay? So you just say et for 1, right? And for the rest, 32, 43, 55, 66. Super simple, okay? You just have to know 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, and then make sure that you know the numbers from 1 to 9, and you're good to go. Okay? So that's for the numbers from 21 to 69. Let's now move on to the numbers from 70 to 99. So there it gets a little more complicated. All right? So here you have to know your numbers from 11 to 19. You'll see why. So basically, in French from France, okay, I'll more on that in a minute, but basically, in French from France, we do not have a word for 70. Instead, what we say is 70, which basically stands for 60, 10, 60 plus 10. Try to understand it this way. There are a lot of memes about this. There are lots of misconceptions, and a lot of people think it's very complicated. It's a little confusing, but it's not that complicated, I swear. So yeah, 70 would be 70, right? Now, if you want to say 71, you're going to say 71. 71, right? Remember with 21, 31, 41, we said 21, 31, 41. So similar thing here. We add the et, right? 71, so 60, 11, 71. And then it goes back to normal. 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, 78, 79. Basically, in your head, you have to do you have to add the numbers up, right? If that makes sense, right? So yeah, when you think of 76, think of 670, so sorry, 60 plus 16, all right? Yeah, that's the deal. That's the situation we're dealing with here. Yeah, so 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, 78, 79. All right, that's how it works. So that's for 70, okay? It works the same for 90. So I'm moving straight to 90 because it's the same thing. We would say 90. 90 is 90, okay? 90, 91, 92, 93, 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99. All right, same thing. So 90 is 90, okay? Right. Now we have to look at the previous one, which is 80. So 80 works a little different, all right? Again, we don't have a word for 80. In French, we would say 80, which basically means 420, right? Yeah, but not that important, okay? Just remember that 80 is 80. Now, 80 works like the numbers from 21 to 69 worked. So basically, you just have 80 and then you add the other numbers, right? If you want to say 81, 82, 83, this is how it works. So it goes 81, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89. Okay? 80, and then you add up the number. Okay? One more time. 81 for 81, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89. Note also that contrary to the numbers from 21 to 69, so we don't say the et un here, right? Remember, we like when we say 21, we don't say 81, okay? 81, that's it. The et is gone here, all right? 81. The et is also gone for 91, by the way, right? We don't say 91, but we say 91. That's it. 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, right? And so the 90, right? Something similar to 70, right? We added the 10. So basically when we say 90, it's 420 plus 10. Okay, 420 plus 11, 420 plus 12, 420 plus 13. Okay, but don't get too confused with all this, all right? Just remember 70, 70, and then you add 71, 72, 73, okay? Try not to say 61, 62, 63, right? Otherwise, we get back to 61, 62, 63, yeah? 81, 82, 83, similar to what we saw previously with the numbers from 20 to 60. And then 90, 91, 92, 93, 94. So you count the same way as you would for 70, except for 91, right? You don't say the et. So that's basically how it works. All right, so that's the numbers from 70 to 99. I hope this was clear enough because this is basically the end of today's lesson, right? Very short one for today, right? So the numbers from 21 to 99, okay? Again, I encourage you to practice more on your own and to repeat whenever possible. So, everybody, that's it for today. I will see you in the next video. Au revoir, à la prochaine. Bonjour tout le monde. Hello everybody. Je m'appelle Arthur. My name is Arthur. And welcome to today's lesson. So, third lesson about the numbers. Today, we're just going to review all the numbers that we've seen up until now. So, namely, the numbers from 0 to 99. Okay, so yeah, we're gonna do that before we move on to the bigger numbers in the next lesson. So starting with 0, all right? We actually haven't touched upon 0 yet because 0 is actually pretty easy, pretty self-explanatory. If you want to say 0, right, 0, you're gonna say zero, okay? Zero, right? Because it has the E accent on top, right? So we say zero. Moving on now to un. Un, okay? Un. Next, we've got deux. Deux. Moving on to trois. Trois. Next up is quatre. Quatre. Then we've got cinq. Cinq. Next is six. Six. Then we've got sept. Sept. Next is huit. Huit. And then neuf. Neuf. Now, that's the end for this row. Moving on to the next one from 10 to 19. Okay, so we've got dix. Dix for 10. Next, we've got onze. Onze for 11. Moving on to douze. Douze for 12, right? Douze. Next is treize. Treize for 13. Moving on then to quatorze. Quatorze for 14, all right? Quatorze. Next, we've got quinze. Quinze, which stands for 15, right? Quinze. And then we have seize. Seize, okay? Next, 17. 17. 18. 19, right? 19. Remember, for 17, 18, 19, 10, 7, 10, 8, 10, 9. Okay? Also remember, for 4, 14, make sure you don't pronounce them like quoi. Okay? Like quatre or quatorze or whatever. It's 4, 14. Okay, if I want to say the numbers from 20 to 29 now. So it goes 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29. Moving on to from 30 to 39 now. 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39. Okay, now on to 40 to 49. 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49. Right? So that's for 40, right? Make sure that you don't mix up 40 and 14. It's a common mistake, right? 14 for 14 and 40 for 40. Next, from 50 to 59, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59. All right. Now on to 60 to 69. 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69. All right. Now 70 to 79. So it's a little more complicated, right? Slightly. So yeah, so bear with me for this one. So 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, 78, 79. So that was for 70. Moving on to 18, right? 80, 81, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89. Right? 80 to 89. And now 90 to 99. It goes 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99. And there we have them all, right? The numbers from 0 to 99. So yeah, again, remember when you say 21, 31, 41, 51, 61, remember the et and un, right? So for the 1, we always have the et in there, right? We also have the et in 71, and that's it. For 81, 91, the et is gone, right? For 70 and 90, right? Remember, it's basically 70, 60 plus 10, 90 is 80 plus 10. All right, so that's basically how it works. Okay, so I hope this was useful. I hope you have no more doubts, no more difficulties with the pronunciation of these numbers. All right, so that's basically it for all the numbers to review. So if you can now try to pronounce the following numbers, okay? So the following numbers from, yes, so we have 50, 92, 48, 87, 64, 79. Try to pronounce them in French oral, okay? So you think you can do it? All right. So you can pause the video and try to pronounce them yourselves. Go ahead. Okay, so let's see how we pronounce those numbers, right? So the first one, how do we say it? It's 15. Yes, 15, right? 15. Now for 92, how do we say 92 again? 92 is 92. That's right. 92, right? Not 82, right? A lot of people make that mistake to pronounce it 82, but 82 would be 82, right? So that's 92, 92. Moving on to 48. 48 is 48. Yeah, 48. That's 48. Now, moving on to 81. Seven, how do we say that? 87? 87. That's right. 87. All right. Yeah, and not 97, right? 97 would be 97. Here we have 87, so 87. Next, we have 64. What about 64? 64 is 64. Yeah, indeed, 64, 64. And then lastly, we've got 79, so that's 79, indeed. 79. 79 for 79. All right. And here you have the correction, the numbers written in letters. So 15, 92, 48, 87, 64, and 79. And that's it for today, everyone. Next time, we will be looking at the numbers 100 and plus, okay? 100 to 10,000, basically. All right? Okay, everybody. So that's basically it for today. I will see you next lesson for the big numbers. Au revoir et à la prochaine. Bye bye. Bonjour tout le monde. Hello everyone. Je m'appelle Arthur. My name is Arthur. And today we are continuing with our series on the numbers. So we are done with the numbers from 1 to 99. So today we're going to look at the numbers 100 and plus on top of the liaison courante, which I will explain a little bit later. But first, let's get started with the numbers from 100 to 10,000. So first off, for 100, we would say 100, okay? 100. So 100 is 100. So if you want to say 200, 300, 400, 500, and so on, you would say 100 for 100, and then 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700, 800, 900, and so on, right? So that's how it works. Just like in English, we kind of read the numbers aloud from left to right. So if I would like to say 601, for instance, right? 601. So that would be 601, right? 601. That's how it works, right? 601. So that's for the hundreds, okay? I hope it's clear enough. 100 for 100, and then 200, 300, 400, 500. Make sure you don't say 100, okay, for 100. 100 is just 100. That's it. Okay. So next for the thousands, okay? So it's pretty similar in the structure, but first the word to say thousand is mille, okay? Mille. And 1,000 is also mille, all right? Just like 100 was 100, right? Mille is 1,000. So you would say mille, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, 6,000, 7,000, 8,000, 9,000, right? You just say the number, the figure, and then mille. Okay, again, I can read from left to right, okay? If I wanted to say like a date, all right, a year, I could read this way, right? So first I start with mille, and then 900, okay? 900, right? 900. And then 95, 95, right? So 1995, my birth year, by the way, that would be 1995. All right, 1995. Okay, so yeah, try by yourself maybe to say out loud your own birth year, okay? Whether you were born in this century or the previous one, all right? 1995. So that's for 1,000, right? 1,000 and then all the thousands, so that's mille, all right? If you know in English, we have century, right? That comes from cent, right? Because in a century you have 100 years, and millennia, right? The millennia you have 1,000 years, so that's from mille, okay? All right, so that's for cent and mille. Now we can also say 10 000, 11 000, 12 000, 100 000, and so on, right? That also works, right? So for instance, if we want to say 125,000, that would be 125 000, right? 125 000. Again, we read from left to right. Okay, so that was for 100 and plus. Moving on now to what we call les liaisons courantes. So, you probably have seen, if you have seen the chapter about the présentation, you've probably seen la liaison. La liaison, that means linking, okay? So here we're talking linking the number with the noun that comes next. The noun that comes next can be euro, heure, or... So by linking, we mean that we would hear the last letter. Let me demonstrate. If I want to say €1, all right, I'm gonna say un euro. Un euro, right? Un euro is €1. So if you notice, listen, un euro, right? Un euro. I would hear, right? I would stress the N, right? And it's like it's linking basically the number with euro, right? With nouns that start with a vowel, right? So that's why we talk about a liaison, linking. Un euro, right? We don't say un euro, we say un euro, okay? Un euro. Now, so that's how it would be like for the number one, or any number that ends with un, right? If you say 21 euros, 21 euros, you would also have that liaison going on. Now, for a lot of numbers, you would have a z sound, right? So, for instance, for the 2, the 3, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, everything red here, you would have a z sound, right? So, if you want to say 2 hours, right, you're going to say 2 heures, right? You can hear the z sound here, right? If I want to say 12 years old, right, I would say 12 ans, right? 12 ans. And if I want to say 14 hours, 14 heures, okay? 14 heures, okay? So the z sound here. Pay attention though, heure, right, is a feminine noun, so we don't say un heure when we count, right, 1 hour. We would say une heure. Yeah, so something to pay attention to, right? Don't say un heure, it's une heure. Now you also have a t sound at the end of the number when your number ends with a t, right? So that's the case with sept, with huit, with cent, right? You would say 7 euros, 8 heures, 100 ans, right? Now we have a special one with neuf, right? Neuf typically ends with an F, right? And you would say neuf euros, right? 9 euros. You would do the liaison here with the F. But for other words, such as and en, the F would turn into a V, basically, like orally speaking, I mean. So you would not say 9 heures or 9 ans, but you would say 9 heures, 9 ans, right? A V, 9 heures, 9 ans. So we have a V sound here. Right, and that's all the liaison courante, right? We have a Z sound, the T sound, the V sound, and also the N sound for un. So that's basically it for les liaisons courantes. Let's now train with this exercise here. I would like you to try to pronounce the following words, okay? The following numbers, and then unit slash noun. So you can pause this video and try this on your own. Let's go. Okay, let's try to correct that. So now we've got 19 ans. Yes, 19 ans. The next one is 7 euros. Yes, 7 euros, right? So the liaison with the T. Then we had 2 heures. 2 heures, right? So with the Z sound, if you have the X, the X would turn into Z sound. And then finally, we had the 12 heures. 12 heures, right? 12 heures for 12 o'clock. Right, everybody, that's basically it for today. I hope this was fun and insightful. And so I will see you on the next lesson, everyone. Okay? All right. À la prochaine et au revoir. Bye bye. Bonjour tout le monde. Hello, everyone. Je m'appelle Arthur. My name is Arthur. And today we're going to look at the time. So we're going to look at how to say what time is it, how to say what the time is, and then also look at the intricacies, where to place the hour, the minutes, how to say quarter past, half past, and so on. Okay, so that's the last video on this series for number and time. So let's get into it. If we want to say what time is it, we're going to say il est quelle heure? Il est quelle heure? Okay, so il est quelle heure? What time is it? Now, if you want to answer to that question, you're going to start with il est, okay? Il est, meaning it is, the same one that we have in the question. And then you would add the hour, right? So for instance, if it's 1 o'clock, you're going to say il est 1 heure. If it was 2 o'clock, you would say il est 2 heures. If it's 3 o'clock, you're going to say il est 3 heures. And il est 4 heures, il est 5 heures, il est 10 heures, il est 15 heures, and so on and so forth, okay? Make sure to say heure all the time, right? Heure, that's a mandatory one. It's not like in English where you can say it's one. You have to say il est 1 heure, okay? After heure, if needed, we can add the minutes. Okay, so if it's 1:05, you can say il est 1h05. If it's if it's 10 past 1, for instance, you would say il est 1h10. If it's 20 past 1, you can say il est 1h20. And so on and so forth, right? you add the hours first and then the minutes. Okay, if it's 1:30, il est 1h30, il est 1h40, il est 1h50. So I hope you know your numbers. Now, if we want to know what time it is, right? We can also use quarter past, half past, 22, quarter to, and so on. So if it's 5 past, right, we say 5. If it's 10 past, we say 10. Now, if it's quarter past, you can say 15, right? You can say the number 15, or you can say écart. So for instance, if it's quarter past 1, you can say il est 1h15, right? 1h15. If it's half past, okay, you can say il est 1h30, okay? 1h30. All right, now we're moving to something slightly more difficult, okay? So bear with me here. You know how in English you can say 20 to, quarter to, and so on. We also have that in French. It's just formulated slightly different. If it's 20 to 2, okay, 20 to 2 o'clock, you would say il est 2h moins 20. Okay, picture 140, right? We can say 1h40 or 2h moins 20. Okay, the trick to remember here is that moins means minus. Okay, so literally you're subtracting 20 minutes to 2 o'clock. Okay, so 140 would be 2h moins 20. 240 would be 3h moins 20. 340 would be 4h moins 20, so on and so forth. Okay, so that's the idea here with the moins. So we have it with moins 20. We also have it with moins le quart, right? So moins le quart, here we're talking about quarter to, okay? Minus quarter of an hour. So if it's 1:45, you could say il est 2h moins le quart. If it's 2:45, you would say il est 3h moins le quart. If it's 3:45, you can say il est 4h moins le quart, and so on and so forth. If you pay attention, right, it's the same word, quart, from the one we had in écart, right, quarter. And if it's 10 to, you can say moins 10. So if it's 1:50, you can say il est 2h moins 10. If it's 2:50, it would be il est 3h moins 10. If it's 3:50, you can say il est 4h moins 10. And so on and so forth. Okay, so that's what the moins is for here, right? Remember, we only use it to say to, right? Moins means minus. For quarter past, half past, écart, et demi. Now, moving on to AM and PM, all right? So we don't really say AM, PM in French. We would say in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening. So let's jump into that. First, if you want to say midnight, you're going to say minuit, okay? Minuit. So minuit is midnight. Note that if you say minuit, you don't follow up with heure, okay? Now, in the morning, that would be du matin. So if it's 1 a.m., 1 in the morning, you can say il est 1h du matin. Il est 3h du matin. Il est 8h du matin. Il est 11h du matin. And so on. So du matin is in the morning. We also have midi for noon. Okay, so midi. Okay, so midi is similar to minuit. You don't need to put heure afterwards. Yeah, so you would just say midi. You can also say 12 heures if you want, right? You have the flexibility too, if you will. But you can also say midi for noon, for midday. Now, if we want to say in the afternoon, we would say de l'après-midi, okay? De l'après-midi. L'après-midi is literally the afternoon, okay? De l'après-midi. So if it's 1 in the afternoon, you can say il est 1 heure de l'après-midi, il est 6 heures de l'après-midi if it's 6 p.m., and so on and so forth, all right? And finally, we have du soir. So du soir, okay? Du soir. Du soir is in the evening, okay? If it's 7 p.m., you can say il est 7 heures du soir. If it's 11 p.m., il est 11 heures du soir, and so on and so forth. So please note that the other way we can say PM, right, in French, right? Instead of saying, for instance, 1 heure de l'après-midi, right? You can also say, il est 13 heures, right? If you want to say, it's 8 p.m., you can say, il est 8 heures du soir, or il est 20 heures, right? So you can do that if you want. It's totally up to you. It's totally flexible. You can read the 24-hour clock, or you can specify with du matin, de l'après-midi, du soir. Okay, it's totally up to you. You would hear general people in France and other French-speaking countries using both interchangeably. So you are totally allowed to do whatever you want, whatever you feel most comfortable with. Just be aware that both exist. Okay, so using what we have just learned, you can try to tell me what time it is uh, for each time indication that we have here, okay? So for instance, if you say 2:30, for instance, right, you have to try to say 2:30, right? So on your own, try to say what time it is for each time indication here, and we'll correct that together next, okay? All right, see you in a bit. Okay, so let's try to pronounce those time indications here. So for the first one, we have il est 14h15, right? Il est 14h15. So you can say il est 14h15, or you could say il est 2h15, right? And then you would have to specify de l'après-midi, right? Because it's in the afternoon here. Il est 14h15, or il est 2h15. Now for the next one, we can say il est 8h05 du matin, right? It's in the morning. Il est 8h05 du matin. We can also say il est 12h30, or il est midi et demi, right? You have, again, flexibility here. You can say whatever you feel most comfortable with. Personally, I like to say the numbers that I see, all right? But yeah, whatever you prefer. For the next one, we can either say il est 23h40, or il est minuit moins 20, okay? We could have also said il est 11h40 du soir, by the way, right? For the next one, what can we say? We can say il est 18h, or il est 6h du soir. And finally, we can either say il est 5h55, 5:55, here we're saying all the numbers, or more simply, we can say il est 6h moins 5 du matin. So note also that, yeah, if you say all the numbers, right? That may sound a little more formal. If you say il est 23h40, that would be slightly more formal, perhaps, than il est minuit moins 20. Okay, but that's not really a problem. Both are correct. So that's it for today, everybody. I will see you in another lesson, perhaps, because that's the end of our series about the numbers. I hope this was entertaining and educational. I hope to see you later, okay? All right, everybody. Merci. Au revoir. Thank you and bye-bye. Bonjour tout le monde. Welcome, everybody. And so again, je m'appelle Arthur. My name is Arthur. Today we will be looking at les nombres ordinaux as part of this series on the numbers. So les nombres ordinaux are all the numbers that say first, second, third, fourth, and so on. All right? So you will see, as long as you know your numbers in French, les nombres ordinaux are super, super easy. Okay? So let's get started with les nombres ordinaux. Okay, so starting with first. So the way you say the first, all right? You're going to say, if your noun is masculine, you will say premier, premier, okay? Premier. If it's feminine, you're going to say première, première, okay? Première. So yeah, premier for masculine and première for feminine. All right. Moving on now to the second. All right. The second will be, so you have two choices. You can either say deuxième, deuxième, okay? Deuxième, so you have deux and you add ième. Or you could say second, 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 all right? As in second, right? Second and seconde when it's feminine, right? Seconde. We would pronounce the D when second is feminine, so seconde. Right, we can either say deuxième or second, right? Pretty easy so far, right? So then when you say the following numbers, so the third, the fourth, the fifth, super easy. You say the number and you add yem. So it goes deuxième, troisième, quatrième, cinquième, sixième, septième, huitième, neuvième, dixième. All right. So yeah, you say the number and you add yem. And then same goes for the numbers after 10. Onzième, douzième, treizième, quatorzième, quinzième, seizième, dix-septième, dix-huitième, dix-neuvième, vingtième, and so on and so forth. All right? So that's how you do it. All right? The only unique ones are premier, première, right? And then you have second, seconde, right? But that's pretty similar to English, right? And remember, you can say second or deuxième, right? So they all follow this rule, number plus yem. Let's now look at this little exercise here. You are going to have to find the right nombre ordinal here. So as you can see here, we have a map of Paris. Paris is divided in what we call arrondissement, all right? So arrondissement, that's basically the borough in English, the district, if you will. So, for instance, we have here le premier arrondissement, le troisième arrondissement, le 20e arrondissement, and so on and so forth, right? arrondissement, yeah, the district de Borough. So we have here la Tour Eiffel, the Eiffel Tower, se trouve, so is found, is, dans le, and this is what we have to fill in, okay? We have to find the arrondissement where it is. Where it is located, and then you can say se trouve dans le premier, le deuxième, le troisième, le septième arrondissement, wherever you can find it on the map. Okay, so that's what you're gonna have to do. So try to find for each location, right? La Tour Eiffel, for instance, Bercy, l'Arc de Triomphe, le Louvre, le Panthéon, le Sacré-Cœur. For each landmark, find the corresponding arrondissement on the map. All right, so you can pause the video and try by yourself. Let's go. All right, then, so let's correct. So La Tour Eiffel was located in le 7e arrondissement, indeed, right? That's le 7e arrondissement. Now, what about Bercy? All right, Bercy is right here. Le 12e arrondissement. Yeah, the 12th. Now, moving on to l'Arc de Triomphe. L'Arc de Triomphe se trouve dans le 8e arrondissement. Yeah, indeed. Le 8e arrondissement. Next, we have le Louvre. Le Louvre se trouve où? Il se trouve dans le 1er arrondissement. All right? Le 1er arrondissement, the first. Now, we also have le Panthéon. Le Panthéon, which is right here, right? Le Panthéon se trouve dans le 5e arrondissement. And finally, le Sacré-Cœur se trouve dans le 18e arrondissement, right? Here we go, right here, le Sacré-Cœur. And that's basically the end of this short lesson, everyone. We have one more incoming for the numbers about time. So I will see you on the next one. Bye-bye, everyone. Au revoir.
Hello everyone, welcome to Travail. I work. Moi aussi. Me too. Je te dis alors. So, then. Let's see our cultural point. You might have heard of it. In France, we have a greeting custom. It's called la bise. When we see each other, we kiss each other on the cheeks. Depending on the department you're from, the amount of kisses is not the same. For instance, me in Finistère, we only give one kiss, which makes it really easy. But if you go somewhere like Corsica, they might give up to 5 kisses. So to avoid the situation where you just leave the other person waiting for more kisses, you can always ask them, how many kisses do you give? And you also need to know that for some people, you need to start either from the left cheek or from the right cheek. And because of that, sometimes you might nearly kiss each other on the mouth because you don't know where to start. So be mindful and always ask if you're not sure. Well done. This is the end of our first topic. I'll catch you in the next one. Escargots. Those are the snails. Un bœuf bourguignon, the beef stew. Un steak tartare, tartare. Un plateau de fromage, cheese plate. Une crème brûlée, crème brûlée. Un verre de vin rouge, a glass of red wine. Cooking level, menu and payment. Let's start with the cooking level of the red meat. We actually have 5 different cooking levels in French. The least cooked will be bleu. Then we have saignant, rosé, à point, bien cuit. And you need to know that in France, when you order a red meat, if you decide to go for à point or bien cuit, you might have some feedback from your waiter or waitress because it's not really a custom for us to actually order red meat well cooked unless you are pregnant. So you might sense some like attitude from the waiting staff if you decide to order red meat but have it well done. Bear this in mind. The culture is more to order your meat bleu, saignant ou rosé. The ways to order. You can either go for une formule or un menu, which is set menu, or you can go à la carte. So this is when you can pick your item separately from la carte. The payment. You can either payer en carte ou payer en espèces. So you can pay by card or by cash. And if you need, you can ask for un reçu, a receipt. Let's have a look at the different subject pronouns. We'll start with the singular and then we'll go with the plural. The first one is je, which is I, je. Then we have tu, which is you, il, he, elle, she. Now plural. Nous, which is we, vous. This one is the you, and you use it with one person when you want to keep your distance and show some respect, or you can use it with this for you. Don't hesitate to do it again, to rewatch it. Point culturel, le fromage. French people love their cheese. France has so many different types of cheeses that you could eat a different one every day. Yes, we have at least 300 different types of cheeses. Which one is your favorite? Tradition. We also say une tradie, une demi-baguette, une demi-baguette, un pain de campagne, un pain de campagne, du pain de mie, du pain de mie, un pain brioché, un pain brioché. Our first dialogue, how to make a simple order. The blue part is the baker part, my part, and the red part is the customer part. So it's yours. What I'm going to do, I'm going to read fully the dialogue first and then we're going to try to do it together. Okay? Bonjour. Qu'est-ce qu'il vous faut? Bonjour. Il me faudrait 2 croissants et un pain au chocolat, s'il vous plaît. Et avec ceci, ce sera tout. Cela vous fera 3,50 €. Je vais payer par carte. Je vais payer en espèces. Merci et voilà pour vous. Bonne journée. Merci. À vous aussi. Let's start from the beginning. I'll do the blue section and you do the red section. Are you ready? Bonjour. Qu'est-ce qu'il vous faut? Your turn. Pour vous, bonne journée. Well done. Good practice. Let's continue now. Now we have a dialogue at breakfast time. Once again, I'm going to read everything so you get the pronunciation. Then I will do the baker part and you will do the customer part. Let's go. Bonjour. Vous désirez? Bonjour. Je vais prendre une baguette et des chouquettes, s'il vous plaît. Pour les chouquettes, je vous en mets combien? Mettez-moi 6, s'il vous plaît. Et avec ceci, ah, oui, je vais également vous prendre 3 croissants, s'il vous plaît. D'accord, il vous fallait autre chose? Ce sera tout. Alors, nous avons une baguette, 3 croissants et 6 chouquettes. Cela vous fera 9,20 €, s'il vous plaît. Je vais payer. Merci beaucoup. Veuillez passer une bonne journée. Well done. How was it? Don't hesitate to do it multiple times. Here we have a different exercise. You need to link each waiter or baker sentence with the correct answer. I'm going to read the waiter and baker's line first. Et avec ceci, qu'est-ce que je vous sers? Je vous en mets combien? Veuillez passer une bonne journée. Cela fera 13,50 € s'il vous plaît. Let's have a look at the potential answers. Then pause the video, try to match them, and have a look at the correction slide. Je vais prendre un jus d'orange, s'il vous plaît. Voilà, vous pouvez garder la monnaie. Merci, à vous aussi. Je vais vous prendre également un pain au chocolat, s'il vous plaît. Mettez-moi 3 parts, s'il vous plaît. Mettez-moi 3 parts, s'il vous plaît. Now, please pause the video. Try to match the baker and waiter sentence to the correct answers. Okay, correction time. Correction. Et avec ceci, so the correct answer would be je vais vous prendre également un pain au chocolat, s'il vous plaît. With the sentence qu'est-ce que je vous sers? The answer was je vais prendre un jus d'orange, s'il vous plaît. To the question je vous en mets combien? The answer was mettez-moi 3 parts, s'il vous plaît. To the sentence veuillez passer une bonne journée. The answer would be merci, à vous aussi. And to the last one, cela fera 13,50 €, s'il vous plaît. The answer was voilà, vous pouvez garder la monnaie. What's your score? Did you manage to match everything? Now our cultural point. Are French people addicted to bakeries? Accro aux boulangeries. France has unsurprisingly the highest density of bakery in the world. Bread culture is so important in France that there is a law to prevent all the bakery to close at the same time during the summer month. That's it for this video. I will see you in the next one. Les visites et recommandations. In this lesson we'll have I want and you will use it with a verb. For example, je veux profiter de la nuit parisienne. Je veux profiter de la nuit parisienne. I want to enjoy Paris nightlife. Je veux faire les magasins. Je veux faire les magasins. I want to do some shopping. Je veux visiter les musées. Je veux visiter les musées. I want to visit museums. We can also use j'aime. J'aime is I like, and after j'aime you have to add le, la, les, and a noun. For example, j'aime l'art. J'aime l'art. J'aime la cuisine. J'aime la cuisine. J'aime l'architecture. J'aime l'architecture. If you want to ask for recommendations, remember those sentences. First option, vous me conseillez quoi? Then we're going to use comme and a noun. And the noun usually describes the category. And to finish the sentence, we'll use s'il vous plaît. We can also start the sentence with vous me recommandez quoi? And then middle and end are the same. Let's try with some examples. Vous me conseillez quoi comme musée, s'il vous plaît? What kind of museum would you suggest, please? Vous me conseillez quoi comme parc, s'il vous plaît? What kind of park do you suggest? Vous me conseillez quoi comme restaurant, s'il vous plaît? What kind of restaurant do you suggest? Now let's use the second option. Vous me recommandez quoi comme musée, s'il vous plaît? Vous me recommandez quoi comme parc, s'il vous plaît? Vous me recommandez quoi comme restaurant, s'il vous plaît? If you want to ask for more information, you can use this one. We actually have seen it before. Pourrais-je avoir? We know that one. Pourrais-je avoir? And then you add what you need and you finish your sentence with s'il vous plaît. Let's try. Pourrais-je avoir une brochure en anglais, s'il vous plaît? Could we do? Things that you can do, things that you can visit in Paris. À Paris, il y a beaucoup de choses à faire. Voici une liste des incontournables. Those ones, you shouldn't miss them. Let's have a look together. La Tour Eiffel, le Louvre, les Champs-Élysées, Then we have a stressed R. It is much stronger, like in gramme, gramme. You can really hear it, right? Or in prêt, prêt. R is not easy to pronounce, but if you keep practicing, you get better at it. Now, time for a little exercise. You need to link each sentences to the correct translation. And on the right, there is also some missing vocabulary, and it's your job to find the meaning of those new words. I'm going to read the French sentences first. Après ma visite, je veux faire les magasins. C'est ma première fois ici. Je voudrais un tarif enfant. Vous me conseillez quoi comme musée dans le quartier? Bon séjour. Now let's have a look at the English translation. Have a good stay. I would like a ticket for children. Which nearby museum would you recommend me? After my visit, I want to go shopping. It's my first time here. Now let's have a look at the missing vocabulary. You need to find the meaning for après, ici, un séjour, dans, une première fois, un enfant. You can either pause the video or just join me on the next page where the answer will just be shown one by one. Correction. Numéro 1. Après ma visite, je veux faire les magasins. The right answer was after my visit, I want to go shopping. C'est ma première fois ici. It's my first time here. Numéro 3. Je voudrais un tarif enfant. I would like a ticket for children. Numéro 4. Vous me conseillez quoi comme musée dans le quartier? Which nearby museum would you recommend? Numéro 5. Bon séjour. Have a good stay. Now let's have a look at the missing vocabulary. Après means after. Ici means here. Un séjour is a stay. Dans is in. Une première fois, a first time. Un enfant, a child. Did you link all the sentences correctly? And did you find all the missing vocab? Let's do some dialogue practice. This one is dialogue à un inconnu. This is a dialogue with the strangers, so we'll use the formal language. Like before, I would read everything first, and then you will do the red part, and I will do the blue part. Let's get started. Bonjour, excusez-moi, c'est ma première fois à Paris. Vous
Un. J'habite à New York. 2. Comment ça va? 3. Vous souhaitez payer par carte ou en espèces? 4. En entrée, je vais prendre les escargots. 5. Où se trouve la pharmacie la plus proche, s'il vous plaît? 6. Prenez la ligne A, direction Basso-Cambo. 7. Oui, cela fera 15,50 €, s'il vous plaît. 8. Vous préférez être en terrasse ou à l'intérieur? 9. Alors, nous avons une baguette, 3 croissants et 6 pains au chocolat. 10. Je pourrais avoir le plan du musée? Salut, moi c'est Michel. Comment tu t'appelles?
Salut Michel, je m'appelle Jean. Enchanté.
Enchanté, John. Tu viens d'où?
Je suis américain. Et toi?
Moi je suis de France, mais j'habite à Londres.
Ah ok, moi aussi. Et tu fais quoi dans la vie?
Je suis comptable. Et toi, tu fais quoi dans la vie?
Je travaille dans la finance.
Je vois. Et tu aimes faire quoi de ton temps libre?
J'aime voyager en Europe et regarder des films après le travail.
Bonjour monsieur, vous avez une réservation?
Non, je n'ai pas réservé.
Combien de personnes?
Une personne, s'il vous plaît.
Et voilà, vous avez choisi?
Oui, je vais prendre la formule entrée, plat, dessert.
Très bien. En entrée, vous désirez?
Une salade niçoise, s'il vous plaît.
Salade niçoise, d'accord. Et en plein principal?
Je vais prendre un steak tartare, s'il vous plaît, avec des frites.
Très bien. Alors nous avons une salade niçoise et un steak tartare. Je vous apporte ça de suite. Vous avez choisi le dessert, monsieur?
Oui, je vais prendre un plateau de fromage, s'il vous plaît.
Parfait, je vous apporte ça de suite.
Excusez-moi, l'addition, s'il vous plaît.
Très bien, monsieur. Vous payez par carte ou en espèces?
En espèces, s'il vous plaît.
Voici votre reçu. Bonne journée.
À vous aussi.
Bonjour, en quoi puis-je vous aider?
Bonjour, je voudrais un billet pour Paris-Montparnasse, s'il vous plaît.
Très bien, ça fera 15 euros, s'il vous plaît. Vous payez par carte ou en espèces?
Je vais payer par carte. Excusez-moi, où se trouve la banque la plus proche?
Sortez de la gare et tournez à gauche. Il y a une banque à côté de l'église.
Merci bien. Bonne journée à vous.
À vous aussi.
Bonjour Mathieu, en quoi puis-je t'aider?
Salut, je voudrais 2 croissants, 2 baguettes et un pain au chocolat, s'il te plaît.
Ça sera tout?
Oui, rien d'autre, merci.
Ok. Tu paies par carte ou en espèces?
En espèces, s'il te plaît. Combien ça coûte?
7,70 € s'il te plaît.
Et voici. Tu peux garder la monnaie. Bonne journée.
Merci bien, à toi aussi.
Bonjour, excusez-moi. C'est ma première fois à Paris. Vous me conseillez quoi comme musée dans le quartier?
Vous aimez l'art?
Oui, j'aime beaucoup.
Alors je vous conseille de visiter la fondation Louis Vuitton.
Merci bien. Et pour les restaurants, j'adore la cuisine italienne. Qu'est-ce que vous me recommandez?
Si vous aimez la cuisine italienne, je vous recommande Bella Piazza. Les pizzas y sont délicieuses.
Merci à vous. Bonne journée.
À vous aussi, bon séjour à vous.